Hey gang, this is another episode of Out of Praxis, and in this one, I'm going to be looking back at a previous video made on repair without reactivity, right? Where I outlined 4 different moves, simple moves that you can make. Very practical video, right? And in this one, we're going to be getting a little more theoretical. We're going to be going and looking actually at Erving Goffman's work here from his book Interaction Ritual. And you know, as you'll recall from that one, that last video, we had 4 moves that were like, okay, noticing that something's happening in an awkward situation or a situation where there's tension or conflict or something, right? So just slowing things down, noticing that it's happening. So we're stepping outside of reactivity. Then we move into this space of, okay, owning my perspective in that, which also means others have perspectives in this probably too, right? Which means it'd probably be a good idea to get curious. This is our 3rd move there, right? Stay curious and be curious together about what happened, what's going on for others. And then the 4th one is noticing the patterns, not the people in that interaction, right? And with Goffman's work, what we're getting to is really kind of like the meta pattern of all the patterns, right? Erving Goffman, a lot of his work is famous for, I think, kind of in a way founding, or at least being a very important figure in the field of microsociology, so the sociology of these small interactions between humans, right? So what's in this set of concepts for you? Well, if you start to see interactions through this lens, you stop treating tension and awkwardness as a personal failure, right? If anything, it's a fragile and incredibly collective bit of work that we're all doing all the time, right? And you can learn to tend to it in different ways. In the field of practice of facilitation, for instance, a lot of what makes a really excellent facilitator an excellent facilitator is that they have different modes and structures that they're kind of navigating in their head when social dynamics are happening, right? So not only are they leaning on structures and things like, liberating structures, things like that, but they're also able to kind of navigate the space of the whole group in interesting ways that are tending to this fragile collective work of tension navigation, of kind of repair, of keeping this, what Goffman calls the expressive order, intact. Okay? So that's a big piece in this. So some surprising insights here. Repair, as it would seem in that other video that I made, that was very like, here's how you do a thing, right? It isn't just kindness. It isn't this kind of individual thing that we're doing for one another. It's political. It's ethical. It's the hidden maintenance behind all of our good collaboration, right? All of the trusting spaces that we're in. This work is kind of hidden maintenance work that we're always up to all the time. And so long as we're doing that in a key of awareness, consideration rather than reactivity, I think we're on the right track. Okay, so let's take a look now at some big ideas from Goffman in Goffman's own words. And what we'll do is I'll kind of say them and then we'll unpack them a bit, okay? Quote, "Every person lives in a world of social encounters, and in each of these contacts, he tends to act out what is sometimes called a line, that is, a pattern of verbal and nonverbal acts by which he expresses his view of the situation, and through this, his evaluation of the participants, especially himself, end quote. Um, so why does this matter? Well, every interaction, right, that you're in is a performance of a line, as Goffman would argue. And breakdowns happen when our lines collide or falter. So the reason why noticing what's happening is so key, I think, is that we're trying to spot these shifts early so that you can step in before they harden into something, right? Into a story, into a conflict, whatever it might be. And so conflict in this reading, then, it often starts not with some sort of intent from somebody, but with tiny little fractures in the line that we're all trying to hold, right? And I've always found that perspective just kind of profound to think about, and then to also go and witness and experience, right? And also sad too, because I've been in so many different group situations, some that have done really well, some that have fallen apart really. And the ones that fall apart, it's not because there's any one person or group of people doing anything. I mean, yes, people have side conversations and go off and do things and start to kind of calcify in different ways. But it all starts with these tiny little fractures, right? And then we go about kind of tending to those fractures in ways that are maybe not so helpful, right? Okay, so Goffman talks about the line, he talks about all these things, right? And this is something that we're kind of bringing in and holding. Another big concept in Goffman is this idea of face, okay? So, quote, "At such times, the person's face clearly is something that is not lodged in or on his body, but rather something that is diffusely located in the flow of events, in the encounter, and becomes manifest only when these events are read and interpreted for the appraisals expressed in them." Okay, so this is interesting, right? It's like face, it's not this, it's not yours alone. It's kind of made and unmade in the flow of the interaction itself. So like this whole assemblage of a conversation is incredibly fluid and fragile, and sometimes it's built up, sometimes it's not. And we know this, right? We know that like there's kind of some work in that. And I think when we are with somebody who we consider to be a good conversationalist, it's because they can kind of keep this flow going in a way where everyone's face is kind of being maintained, and also, there's some fun in it, right? So if you can grasp this idea, that face lives in the moment, I think a big part of that is that we're now also depersonalizing the ruptures and the tensions and the things like this that are happening a bit, right? And there's really surprising implications in this, right? It's like your dignity, what you have in the moment, is not something that you can possess. It's kind of constantly negotiated, second by second, in the social interaction itself. I mean, Goffman sounds like he may have been on the spectrum. I'm just saying. Which is probably why it speaks so much to me, because I'm like, oh yeah, this is like, I'm trying to make sense of social interaction and facilitative moves and things like this all the time, right? But this is kind of what the vibe is here, folks. Okay, so again, then this is why owning your own perspective and your own place in this flow of navigating face and keeping face intact becomes so vital, right? Okay, so that's another really interesting kind of concept from Goffman's work. Okay, another big one here. This is around kind of the social constraint and the vulnerability of the self. Because I think when it comes down to it, a lot of what is happening when, we're trying to navigate awkwardness or tension or things that, are disrupting the lines that each of us are supposedly coming in with. Goffman's a very kind of theatrical thinker as you start to read and think through him. It's like we're in a play, each person has their line. They're kind of maintaining their face, their character, all of this kind of stuff, right? And when they get disrupted, things get a little iffy, and we try to repair it. So a big part of that is, when things are falling apart a bit, we see the soft white underbelly of one another. We see the kind of vulnerability of one another in the social interaction, right? And for Goffman, this kind of signals a very interesting thing. So, quote, his social face. I just want to say their social face. I'm just going to do that. Their social face is only on loan to them from society. It will be withdrawn unless they conduct themselves in a way that is worthy of it. Approved attributes and their relation to face make of every person their own jailer. This is a fundamental social constraint, even though each person may like their cell. There's like so much going on in that. I'll try to unpack it. But I think a central idea here is that you, again, like this idea that you possess your dignity. No, it's negotiated in the group as it's kind of emergently navigating its conversation, whatever that is, right? Similarly with your face is on loan from the group. And knowing this in a way, it could make you more humble and maybe less defensive. Again, helping to kind of disentangle yourself from these little fractures and your kind of role in that. And this other thing that he says, that we're each jailers of our own performance. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and this is where I'm going to leave this video. I'm going to unpack more on Goffman in another video, but this is where I'm going to leave this video for now, because I think it's just such a kind of profound argument from the, in sociology, there's this agency and structure kind of dichotomy. This is such a profound like structure argument, right? That there are these constraints around your performance that you're kind of you're stuck in, right? And in a lot of ways, it's internalized. It's shared by the group. We're all kind of there to try to maintain the interaction in a way that keeps us moving towards our goals, that keeps everything, feeling good, etc., right? But there's so much of that that's profoundly internalized. This idea that we're jailers of our own performance. So then I think what that implies is that there's a lot of freedom and autonomy to be gained if we can loosen that grip on ourselves, right? So in this posture of reactivity that we find ourselves in, there's this automatic pressure to defend at all costs, right? That comes up, and that's what makes it so that you might disengage entirely, or as Goffman says in other moments, that you alienate yourself from the experience, or that you kind of maybe perform too much to repair the moment in the moment, while being disingenuous of your actual needs, of what was awkward or difficult or a tension in that exchange, right? So the more we can resist that reactive automatic pressure to defend at all costs, the more we loosen that grip on ourselves, become less of a jailer of our own performance. Okay, so that's it for now. There's there's more to explore in Goffman. I encourage you to grab Interaction Ritual or, anything by Goffman. Drink strong coffee, because reading Goffman is like, it's like reading a manual written by aliens about human interaction. It's just this this meticulous unpacking of the quirkiness of humans and how we interact in social situations. And of course, Goffman's work, is not outside of critique by any means. I think in a lot of ways, you can really read the times, you can really read Goffman's social location in his work. He's not really dealing with things like systemic oppression, things like this, where not everyone's coming into a social interaction necessarily feeling equal, right? There's a lot of people coming in with all sorts of different intersectionality, different social location that is going to show up in different ways. Goffman, he's not going to work through that too much, but definitely going to help you think about the quirk. And then, Deleuze, another key thinker in here, because I think, and I don't have the book right here, but I have it somewhere else, but his work on Nietzsche, in his book on Nietzsche, is really, it's trying to get us to, I'm paraphrasing a ton here, but basically removing from this posture of resentment, ressentiment, and reactivity into a kind of philosophy of action. Like, how can we stop this react mode that we're in and move into an act mode, is a central concern for Deleuze's reading of Nietzsche in that book, and maybe we'll talk about it one day. But for now, this is it for now, folks. More Goffman to come later, I'm sure. Thanks. Bye for now.